and welcome to the August 5th Study Techniques Academic Counseling Workshop. So we're just going to move on to, I believe, introducing ourselves. I am Nicole. I go to York University. I'm a third-year criminology undergraduate student. So Manur, you can introduce yourself as well.
Hello everyone, I'm Mahnur and I am also a York student and I'm a third year student in my majoring in law and society.
All right, so what is academic counseling? So CSR offers one-on-one mentoring sessions. We provide mentees with academic support. So what this means is we provide you with the resources and simpler techniques to help you transition into university life, as well as I just want to emphasize that we do one-on-one sessions. So what this means is if you send us an email, we can pair you up with a mentor if you are uncomfortable with the large environment of workshops, and we could tailor your needs. So we're just going to jump on to the next slide. Manur, you can take this over.
I was muted, sorry. But yeah, this is basically the mentees introducing themselves. So the mentees which are present in this workshop, you guys can go ahead and introduce yourself one by one. So what's your name, your major, if you're minoring, or what year you're in, or even what university you're in, because I know not everyone is in York University. But
Should
yeah.
I go?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, so my name is Emre Islam, and I'm currently majoring in economics, and I'm going to enter my third year this upcoming fall.
Thank you,
Okay.
MD.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead. My name is Sharmika, and I'm majoring. I haven't chosen my major yet, but going into my second year BBA program at Schulich.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next slide now. So a quick overview of this workshop. So the things which we will be covering is time management, schedule organization, classroom note-taking tips, and basically overall effective study methods, which hopefully help you all during your upcoming year in university. So the first thing is time management. So starting off, this is something I'd say I both am good at and bad at, because it honestly depends on the day, on the subject, but it's something which is very important. And I feel like it's something which, you kind of learn as you go throughout your years at whether it's high school or university. It's, so manage your time effectively and give equal time to your work and personal life. Now, balancing work and personal life is something which is really like it's a tricky thing, because sometimes you bring your work into personal life or personal life into work. So balancing that is kind of really important, and we'll tell you ways to do that in the next few slides, but that's one of the main things. And organize your tasks and track your habits. So your sleeping habits and organizing your tasks, that's also something which I don't think actually, it is a very important thing as well, because I feel like if you're not organizing what you're doing, how you're doing it, then you're going to go all over the place. And it's a good thing to, learn about under time management. Try to build a routine and stick to it. So again, have a good sleeping habit, whether it's sleep or work, build a routine, build a schedule, create a balanced schedule, and kind of, divide your tasks equally, give equal time to everything, and prioritize certain tasks over others. So in this case, it's like, something which is more important, like whether it's assignments or just something personal, it can be anything. So just kind of know what you need to prioritize. Don't put something which is not as important over something else, if that makes sense. But so the next slide, I'll pass it over to Nicole and we can go from there then.
Perfect. So schedule organization. This is one thing I can actually recommend for all of you to do, and one thing that actually greatly benefited me. If I found that it actually calmed me mentally more, it reassured me that my day wasn't so chaotic and didn't make me feel as if like, you know that feeling as if you can breathe because you just feel overwhelmed. So go and buy an agenda, a planner, a calendar. I have a huge whiteboard calendar hung up in my room. It's really easy to erase stuff. You wake up in the morning, first thing you look at. It's perfect. I probably have about 5 different calendars with the same things written on them. I just like to have them everywhere I go. So build a timetable and a study plan. What I mean by this is organize your day by hour. You can see how fast the days go by when you're studying, and it's all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're like, whoa, I have so much to do, which is why I recommend planning your day by hour. So what this means is you would say, okay, get breakfast in the morning, which the next slide we do have an example, by the way, in case this verbally is kind of confusing you. So just prioritize your assignments, allocate larger time frames for larger assignments that'll need more time and work, and leave some times to catch up on readings, etc. You'll see ahead, like I said. So create an easy structure, which can be followed daily. Organize your day by the hour, like I said, and prioritize your assignments based on their deadlines and weight. So as I had said before, if there's an assignment worth, let's say 30% versus an assignment worth 10, pardon me, you would actually allocate more time, let's say 3 hours, to the assignment worth 30%. Why? Because this is worth more of your grades, meaning it is more important. So it is very important to keep that in mind when you're allocating your time. Look at the percentage of the how much the assignment is weighed, and then allocate your time accordingly on your schedule. So we can actually skip to the next slide where I'll explain the schedule that we have. So here you can see at the very bottom, it says self-care, commuting, in-class, free time. So it's color-coded, which I also really like if you're a type of person that actually focuses better with color codes. So in the morning, you want to specify get breakfast, travel to school. You definitely want to keep these things in mind. Keep in mind things like commuting in the morning. Don't say that you're going to start something at 9 a.m. when you know you have to commute to school. Make time for lunch. Always make time for lunch, whether it's in your schedule or not. Please eat throughout the day, snack, drink water. It's extremely easy to forget to do these things, especially when you are very overwhelmed or have a lot to do and a lot on your mind. Take breaks. Put breaks in your schedule. Don't feel guilty for it. I used to feel guilty for taking a 10-minute break, but you don't perform well if you aren't relaxed and at ease. So that's definitely an important thing to keep in mind. We're going to move to the next slide. So studying for tests and exams, one thing I want to tell you guys is to get a head start, please. So what I like to do personally is whenever I get an assignment, specifically, this does not really apply to, well, sometimes tests as well. But what I like to do is I like to take the main points that my professors point out and put them on an outline. Start an outline the first week that you are given the assignment. It is the base to what your assignment is going to be. So as long as you have the base done, you can always expand on it later. It's better to have something done than nothing done, and it helps you so that you're not scrambling at the end. You have more time to ask questions. So like I said, the next one, prioritize assignments. We stress this because it is so important, hence why it is up so many times and how many times we've mentioned it. Create detailed notes, which you can look back on as well. We love creating detailed notes. Anything you can include to make it like to make yourself understand better, include it. I used to write lecture notes where the professor would say, honestly a very, very simple definition. And I would write it down. Just in case you forget, write everything down, color code it, put stars beside everything. That's extremely important as well. And what I like to do in my notes is if your professor stresses a certain term or a theme, put that on your notes because that will likely be on a test or exam or assignment, especially if you include those in assignments. Professors love that and TAs love that because it shows that you're paying attention. So Manur, you can go ahead.
I keep forgetting to unmute myself, sorry. But yeah, so this is just a continuation of what Nicole was saying. So color coding different sections. So like it says in the examples, red for exams, blue for assignments, orange for readings, you know, whatever color you like, you know, whichever color makes you happy. And not just colors, you can even put like, you know, how Nicole was saying, if you want to put like stars or stickers or anything like that, it's up to you, honestly. And so stay on top of your weekly readings and attend every lecture, tutorial, seminar, lab. I think that's like a really, really, really important thing because in most like tutorials or seminars and even labs, sometimes for STEM majors, your readings are basically what are being discussed in those classes. And in 90% of the courses, you're going to have like a tutorial grade, like a participation grade. And you can only get that grade if you discuss whatever reading it was. You have to talk about it in class, you know, with the TA, with other students and everything. So that's very important that you do stay on top of your readings and, you know, highlight whatever's important. You don't have to read every single thing, just skim through it and highlight whatever is important, whatever, you know, you need to focus on. And if you need help, then of course, don't hesitate to contact your TAs or professors. This is actually something I did throughout second year. So if I would start like an essay 1 month earlier, I would literally spam my TAs every week, sending them drafts of my like essays, like, please read this, you know, it's my first draft, my second draft. And usually, obviously, they can't really give you like detailed comments because, you know, again, it is like an assignment, but they're allowed to give you like surface level comments, so which can help you improve your writing or your assignment, like everything overall. So that's something which I think, you know, is a really, really helpful thing. For me, especially, it was like I did great because of that. But yeah, on to the next one. So healthy routines. This is something I always forget about whenever I'm trying to study, is having a healthy routine, because I guess like when you're studying, you kind of, you know, you just forget, like Nicole said, and like you kind of just forget that a routine exists or like food exists or rest exists if you're like that into studying in the moment. And for me personally, it's more like once I start studying, I can't stop unless like I finished a specific chapter or like I finished, you know, whatever I'm working on, whether it's an essay, assignment, anything. So first thing is, if you're in class, whether it's a lecture or if it's a tutorial, and if you don't understand something, then always ask questions. Like your TAs are gonna love you for it. You know, they enjoy answering your questions. They, you know, they love being challenged sometimes. And second thing is, okay, so education is important, as we all know, but so is your sleep. Your sleep is also just as important. Don't pull all-nighters because you'll wake up tired. For example, if you have an exam the next day and you pulled an all-nighter studying for that exam, you're going to go into the exam hall and probably, you know, stopping yourself from falling asleep every few minutes. That was actually me in my first year when I had like a test the next day, and it was worth like 25%, I think. And I was doing my, and thing is because it was like a written exam. So in the middle of writing, I just felt like, you know, I'm really not in the mood to do this and I want to sleep. So I put my head down for like 1 minute, and the 1 minute turned into like 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. I literally was about to kind of mess up my whole exam because of that. So, you know, don't lose sleep. It's really honestly not worth it. And have a set time. Oh, and also, sorry, don't skip out on meals either. Keep snacks with you while you are studying. So in that case, that's also something which I always forget about, to be honest, because it's usually my mom coming in with like a plate of apples for me, or like, you know, some sort of snack while I'm studying, because I always forget. So what I usually, okay, but one thing I don't forget is like keeping a bottle of water next to me. It's more like my emotional support water than, you know, actually drinking it. So, you know, stay hydrated as well while you're studying. That's also really important. And have a set time at which you can sleep better. So better sleep is equal to better academic performance, which is something I never used to believe in high school, but in university I do believe in that because, like I said, my very tragic experience of my first year exam, like no sleep, and I was just, honestly, I want to take a nap so badly. So that's why, like, sleep at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, and you'll if you wake up early, you will automatically have a very productive day. Like, you wake up early, do your thing, do whatever you need to do, and you literally automatically have a very productive day. You don't even have to do much to, like, for it. And again, this is where your organized schedule comes in. So the sample we showed you in the previous slide, this is where it comes in. It comes in very handy, and it's very useful because you're organizing your day by the hour or by the couple of hours, whichever one. And stay active. Stay active. That is easier said than done, but please stay active. The next slide, classroom tips. So in this one, this is basically a bunch of tips which I really hope you guys use. So the first one especially is really, 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 really important. So when you're in class, this is already mentioned by Nicole as well, like a couple of slides ago. So this is why it's obvious, it's very important. So when you're in class, this is something I didn't know in my first year. So when a professor is talking about a certain topic, or whether it's terms, themes, whatever it is, or like a specific reading as well, you need to write that down as soon as you can, as quickly as possible, because first thing is, professors, they speak really fast. They are not going to wait for you because there's like 100+ students in that class, and they're not going to wait for you to write it down. So you have to quickly write everything down, especially if they're repeating that same topic over and over again, or whether it's a term or a theme. If they keep repeating it, then it's going to come in your exam, whether it's in your midterm or in your final exam. It's going to be there. It's not going to be a surprise. So make note of that and make sure you write it down, and you prepare because it also is kind of like, it's like kind of, they're like kind of giving you like a cheat sheet, but not exactly a cheat sheet. Like you're getting, what's going to come in the exam, but you don't know what exactly it is, but you kind of have an idea. So that's really important. And make notes of these, and prepare an answers for possible questions that could be on the test. So again, whatever your professor is talking about, whether it's a theme, topic, term, take note of it, and go over the whole thing and write it down, just because it could be on the exam. Even if you're not sure if it's on the exam or not, it could be. So just make sure you are prepared for anything, and don't memorize the material, rather like understand the material. So that's one thing which is also like a really good, like, it's a really good tip, is memorization is more like, you'll remember it for like an hour. You won't remember it for a long time. Like, understanding it, it's like, okay, that's something now. So it's something you're going to understand for a long, long time. Like, if I come up to you randomly one day and I'm like, okay, what does this mean? Like, if you memorize the definition, then you probably won't remember. You won't be able to answer me. But if you understood the definition, you would definitely be able to answer me in your own words, with your own knowledge of the topic, or whatever the topic is. So this is really important. Like, don't memorize. Try to understand the material which you're learning, because that way you can apply it even better. Whether it's in your exams, your assignments, your essays, it's just better application. So in that case, just understand rather than memorize. And the next slide is the SQ3R method. So it's one of the methods which I guess not just me, but a lot of people kind of unintentionally use without actually knowing that it's called the SQ3R method. Like, I didn't know this, like, it had a name, but it was just something which I kind of like unintentionally used throughout my university life so far. So the SQ3R thing stands for survey, question, read, recite, and review. So these 5 different parts. So it starts off with survey. So when when you're assigned a reading, let's say, you have a reading to do, it's very important. It's like, you have a tutorial tomorrow, you have to present it, whatever. So when you have a reading in front of you, rather than like, going through every single line of the reading, because sometimes readings can be very long. They can be like 50, 60, 70 pages. You never really know how long it's going to be. So rather than, going through every single detail of it, it's better to skim through it and just kind of go through the important stuff, or like like we said before, color code. So highlight the important details, whatever details you think which like, okay, you know what, I may be asked about this in my tutorial tomorrow, or we may be questioned about this, you know, in our seminar. So just highlight, like skim through it rather than read every single detail, because most readings like so far which I've had in my classes, there's like a lot of repeated information. There's a lot of repeated information, and there's also like little details which kind of don't really, you know, they're not very relevant to what the actual topic of the reading is. So in that case, you know, start by skimming. Like, I'm not saying completely skip through the reading, don't do that, but just kind of go over it slowly and just highlight the important things which you know you're gonna need. So that's the first part. That's like the survey method. The second thing is questions. So whatever you're studying, whether, you know, whatever major you're in, this is for like all majors, by the way. So if you're a STEM major, or whether you're in like, you know, humanities, whatever it is, kind of like whatever you're learning, question it and problematize what you're studying, because that way it's like, okay, for example, I've learned today that the sky is blue, but why is it blue? You know, it's like you're kind of challenging yourself, and you're giving yourself the opportunity to answer the question in like a different way than you would see in like the textbook definition. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, like kind of quiz yourself, you know, have a little quiz like, okay, why, like what is the reason behind this, why is this happening, like ask yourself questions based off of the reading, so you know that, you know, like if you go back to it after you've done the reading, you know what you've learned. So at least that way, like when you question yourself, you quiz yourself, it's like a way of kind of figuring out like, or understanding what you've learned basically, rather than memorizing. Again, that's how you know you've understood it, you just didn't memorize it. And so that's the question part, the second part. And then there is read, recite, and review. So the reading part, so this is kind of not, I won't say similar to the first one, but it's kind of like, okay, after you've done skimming through everything, after you've done, you know, formulating some questions for yourself to answer, continue reading to the material, and whatever questions you've created yourself, so the quiz you gave yourself in the previous step, kind of answer the questions on that quiz by reading through the material and see if you missed anything. And, you know, so that way it's like what you're kind of answering your own questions, but from your own knowledge rather than from the reading itself, you know. And once you're done reading, recite everything. So this is basically like, you know, you can reword this and we can call it summarize everything. So that's something which I think we all kind of do at the end of, you know, whatever reading you've learned, or like whatever you've learned, whatever chapter it is, at the end of it, you know, you summarize whatever you've learned. So, you know, it's like you can create a little summary, you can write it down if you want to, you can type it out if you want to, that's completely up to you. But this is like a good way of kind of overall giving yourself like a overview of the whole chapter or the whole reading. And then again, reviewing is just, you know, go over the material, you know, understand the material, don't memorize, go over your notes, kind of like, you know, just try to understand everything you've learned. And yeah, so that's the SQ3R method. I would say it is effective. Yeah, it is effective. Yeah, I'd say it is pretty effective, personally, for me. And so the next one is the retrieval practice. So this one, I'll pass it on to Nicole.
Yeah, of course. So retrieval practice. So we just want to tell you all that rather than relying on the book, force yourself to recall information. So instead of, for example, having a cue card and having the answer on the other side, we want you all to try to actually recall the answer as best as you can. Write it down, and then once you're done writing it down, then look for the answers. So formulate your answers based on your own knowledge, then compare it to the textbook definition as it's written on the slide. When you compare it to the textbook definition, you're automatically correcting yourself. So when you correct yourself, it's the same way we say you learn from your mistakes. You never really make the same mistake twice. So the next time you actually go and look at that definition, you'll remember, oh, this is the one I messed up last time. This is what it is instead. So it's pretty much just a tactic of revision and memorization. But rather than memorizing, you're also understanding too in the process, because it's forcing you to actually recall, go back, relook at the work, and understand it better. So this is just a method, whether it be the SQ3R method, sorry, tongue twister, or Retrieval Practice. These are just two methods that we're offering you all. Obviously, out of many, these are just some of them that we prefer and are pretty basic, that are a lot of people use and are pretty common. So if you can actually try and use this one, you also have to try out a bunch of different methods once you enter university. I tried memorization. Memorization never worked for me. I tried retrieval. Honestly, I have a terrible memory unless I understand something. So I started to learn that my method of studying that works best for me, because everyone has their own, I write down answers, because when I understand them and I put them in like layman's terms, it'll be like, Nicole walked to the store to get an apple. And like, it sounds extremely lame. Wondor's laughing at me. It's true, because you know what? That's the way I understand it, is by putting it in terms that I will understand, because sometimes they throw these huge terms at you with complicated definitions. You have to put it in the way that you understand, because when you understand it, you will also write about it better. So it's the same way as when they say define and explain, but put it in your own terms. You have to be able to put it in your own terms. And if you memorize something, you will never be able to put it into your own terms. So as I said, these are just one of the methods that we wanted to provide you all with, just because everyone has their own method of choice. So if you'd like to use this one, by all means, go right ahead. Now we can move on, I guess, to the next slide. So this one can be extremely challenging because of COVID, and we're all home with our families, well, majority of us, or whether it be our roommates. The importance of a quiet environment. Whenever possible, and I stress whenever possible, please try to study in a quiet environment. So some tips for this that we'd like to offer you all is that make sure your study space has 0 distractions, whether that be your roommate sitting right next to you, or your sister, your brother, your mom, anyone. The TV, have the TV off, have Netflix off. Those are tempting distractions. And I speak from experience. I used to think I was like invincible while studying and be able to watch like Outer Banks while I'm like studying. It's not gonna happen as much as we'd love it to. Turn off your phone if you really need to. It is a very tempting distraction. The only time I recommend you keep it on is if you and a partner or someone in your class are discussing work or content or helping each other out. Other than that, you don't exactly need it, especially if you're going to be on your laptop or computer. Study with music if you prefer. This helps a lot of people, actually. So whatever choice of music you'd prefer, it could be rap, jazz, classical, anything possible. Play it softly in the background. If it gets you into your studying zone, absolutely do what you have to do. If not, a quiet environment is great. It works for me, and I'm sure it works for a lot of other people. Clear out your desk space and only keep essentials. I always have a water bottle on your desk, please. Please, please, please always have water on your desk. There were many times where I would be like 5 coffees into my day, but haven't had a sip of water. The coffee defeats the purpose if you do not drink water. Your body does not run on coffee, it runs on water. That's also me reminding myself this right now. So always have water on your desk. That's one thing. Don't forget to drink or snack. It's extremely important. I know this is about a quiet environment, but I just feel like I need to stress this a lot because you'll find yourself slacking on that. So what we mean by essentials is your charger, your textbooks. If you enjoy those fidget spinners, by all means have it on your desk. But anything else that'll distract you, please just take it off. Put it in a different room. I put my phone in another room if I don't need it. I know we all have, well, some people have iMessages on their laptop or WhatsApp on their laptop because it's a form of communication. If you don't need it, turn off the app. do not disturb your notifications. I know we're all guilty of it. You get tempted. You just you don't want to know the gossip. You want to talk to your friends. But do this for you. It'll actually benefit you after. Whatever's going on in your messages or your WhatsApp is not as important as you're studying right now, unless it actually is. But if it's coming from your friends or whatever it may be, it can hold off. I promise you it'll pay off later on. So, and one thing, I added this because I was guilty of it. Don't study in your bed as like, if you have a desk, a table, like a nightstand, I know that still counts, but at least it's not on you, your laptop. You're not laying down. Just don't be laying down while you're studying. Please, this makes you tempted to nap or try to relax, and you somehow convince yourself, I can take a nap. We don't have time for a nap. Unless it's in the schedule, we're not doing it. Unless you're extremely, extremely tired, by all means, go ahead. Don't feel guilty. But there's been times where in first year I would study in my bed and I would be like taking like 3 naps. I'm like, okay, I don't need 3 naps. I'm just procrastinating. It gives you a reason to procrastinate. So if you can, anywhere at all other than your bed, or even if you're just in a sitting up position, just don't lie down. Like, just please try not to. It makes you tempted. And also it associates your bed with studying. So you actually feel a lot more stressed at night, I find. That was based on my personal experience because I associated my bed with school rather than sleep. So I guess I'll take over the next slide as well. Perfect. So we're going to recap now. So the main aim of CSR academic counseling is for us to provide you with tips like, for example, our studying methods and our what to do's and what not to do's based on our own experience and based on other sources that we've found. So it's just to make our main role is to make your university experience a lot easier, well, to the best that we can. So we also offer the option of one-on-one mentoring sessions. Please do not feel shy or as if you're bothering us, reach out. We would absolutely love to help you all. So manage your time effectively is another tip that we would like to just recap with you all. It's extremely important. Time management is the one thing that no one will ever teach you or prepare you for. It is something that you have to learn on your own. Time management it got my grades from C's to A's. And I will be honest about that. That was strictly time management and allocating my time effectively. So I still go out and see my friends. I still see my family, but you have to prioritize your time efficiently. So create a balanced schedule and edit it throughout the academic year if you need to. Your schedule will never be set in stone. Your days will never go according to plan. There will be days where things will come up, you will realize you forgot something, or you need more time to work on one thing than you thought you needed. You can always adjust your schedule. Your schedule is never, ever, ever set in stone. You are in complete control of your schedule. Rearrange it, edit it, switch it around, do whatever you need to do to actually get your work done properly. Have a smart system of note taking, so color coding and utilizing classroom tips. Emphasize terms, themes. I cannot stress that enough. When you do that and you go and talk to your TAs after, or even participate in class, your TAs actually get to know you by name. And when your TA knows you by name, that's a very, very good thing. No one ever told me that. It actually kind of scores you bonus points when you're on first name basis with your TA. They will see you as a very participating student, and they love that. They love when students participate, because if you're sitting in an awkward, quiet classroom for an hour, it's not the ideal situation. Everyone feels the tension. So speak up. Don't feel bad to be that student always talking. It's actually a lot better for you. Just act as if it's you and your TA. So through this, bring your notes to your tutorials. When you bring your notes to tutorials, it's actually really, really good, because you can actually reflect on it or even ask questions. If you ask questions, that is showing participation, and they love it. So creating healthy habits and stick to them as much as possible. we went over that. Yeah, prioritize your time effectively, especially yourself. Make time for yourself. Learn and utilize the SQ3R and retrieval methods of studying. So we really hope those work for you guys. Actually, if you want to give us your feedback, by all means, go right ahead. We'd love to hear it if it works for you. Create an environment which is most suitable for you when studying and revising. Yeah, so I don't think I mentioned, but I believe certain areas right now, I know COVID restrictions are a little bit awkward right now, but libraries, if libraries are open in your area, go right ahead, use them, take advantage of them. And yeah, that's pretty much all that we can recap for you all. I believe up next is our Q&A, and then we're going to do a poll to end off. So, or should we do the poll first? What do you think, Linda?
We can, I'll open the poll and then we can do the Q&A.
Okay, perfect. We'll do that because you're in charge.
So I'm just gonna launch the poll in a second. Now. Did you all get it?
All right.
So I'll be generous. I'll be really generous and give you like 3 more seconds. Okay. And poll. All right, so the 3 questions. Are you excited for in-person learning to start back up? Yes, I am. Very excited. Do you prefer studying in groups or alone? Honestly, I also prefer studying alone. I don't like other people kind of giving me their ideas. I don't know. It's just, I don't like kind of mixing and matching ideas. I want to like do my own thing myself. Do you prefer studying with music or without music? See, it's according to my mood, usually, honestly. But usually if I'm listening to music, I just get distracted. I'll just start singing the song instead of actually studying. So I just can't always. But thank you for answering the poll, guys. So now we'll just do this, quick Q&A and answer these 3 questions. So the first one, this question is for the mentees. Did you find this workshop helpful? So either one of you can go ahead and answer first.
Can I go?
Sure.
Yeah, actually, this workshop was really helpful. And I'll be honest with you guys, like I had no idea about the SQ3R. And I wasn't really applying that, but since I have the knowledge about that, I will try to implement this while I'm studying as well, and this could be helpful. And also another great thing I like that you said about taking breaks, which is really important. Like at first, even I did not stress on the importance of breaks. I used to feel like studying for a long time maybe is a way to achieve success, but that's not the right thing. And yeah, I got to learn a lot from that.
Yeah, we're glad you learned a lot. Yeah, exactly. You're right. I could see that when you think studying a lot is going to get you
True.
to a successful point, it will not. You definitely need a break. And I think we all learned that the hard way. That's the only way to learn that, to be honest. We could stress it to you enough, but I find that either way you'll get caught up. But
and one thing I'd like to add here, on the music part, there is a term that I heard, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like inaugural beats, like you had on the bracket. Like, what does that mean actually? Can you tell?
If you wanna.
They're basically so they're kind of like, they're beats which kind of stimulate your mind, if that makes sense. Usually I actually listen to these beats sometimes while studying. Also when you're in a loud environment, when there's like a lot of people around you, like my family, we're like a family of 7 people. We're a big family. So when I don't want anyone's voice or anything interruption, so I just put those beats and it kind of just silences everyone and everything, if that makes sense. They're they just stimulate your mind to study, and it makes you it makes you want to study, it forces you to focus. I shouldn't say this, this will sound very inappropriate, I think, but it's like taking an Adderall without actually taking an Adderall. If that makes sense.
It puts you in the,
it forces you to study.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a nice thing. I'll check out in YouTube. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can find a lot on YouTube. You can find like specific ones which are for studying on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I can go next.
Go ahead.
So
Yes.
this workshop was really, yeah, it was definitely very helpful. Like I learned a lot about like, you know, some tips that would benefit you like academically. Like I learned that just little things like, you know, following up with your TAs, asking your TAs for help, you know, and even just like the little clues that they give, like how they know your name. And if they know your name, that's like a bonus for you. So that's something definitely that I should keep in mind for like the next steps next year, like try to get more involved and try to ask TAs for help and, you know, like following up with them, having meetings with them, and like sending in my drafts, my essays to see if they can give any comments. Like that's definitely really helpful. And another thing is like how to study, like how to like manage your time. That's also very, very helpful. Like some of the tips that you guys gave was really helpful for like knowing how to time manage, and also just like even like the SQ3R method. That's like something that I've never even heard about, but something very new I learned, and that's really, it's really like, it really gets me to use that method later when I'm trying to study. So yeah, that was definitely really helpful.
Great. We're
Thank you.
glad we can help. We're super happy that you guys are actually have really good feedback. Yeah, if there's anything else you guys could think of or add, or techniques that you all use, if you'd like to add those, please let us know. Whether you want to say it in the chat or here, we're open to more tips. There can never be enough tips when it comes to studying. There's definitely many ways to do it, and everyone has their preference. So the more we learn, the better. If anyone wants to add to that.
I think it was like very thorough what you guys did.
Yeah.
More tips, more study tips. Like I honestly like the study techniques and study tips that you guys gave were like really good. So if I can think of any, would be like try to have a corner for yourself, like a study section for yourself, and just try to be in that section. It's like being in your own zone. That's like something that's really important. Other than like if you always switching like your study space, it's like you're not organized and all that stuff. So to be more organized and to be, you know, in your own zone, like having a study section for yourself is very important.
Yeah, I highly agree with that, actually. You're very right. I've never thought of it like that, but I did find myself in the same corner a lot. So I think you're right. We just don't do it we do it without noticing.
Yes.
That is actually really true. Like I've realized, because I have this one place where I study, and if I study anywhere else, I don't feel like I'm studying, if that makes sense. I'm like, okay, this is odd. I don't like where I'm sitting right now. I don't like what I'm facing. This is not the view I like.
Mhm.
So that's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, I would definitely do say about this, like trying to avoid last minute cramps. Because like some people, you will see that like just in the last minute, okay, they even, I've seen that like, in the exam corridor when I had in-person exams, I saw some people literally with the huge textbook, like, like it's open in front of them and they're studying so rigorously. And trust me, that view gave me like kind of heart attack, like, oh my God, then what did I study if this person is doing so much right now? So I believe like that is a very like scary thing, like just before the exam, like 15 minutes or 10 minutes at that time, I believe that students should not be looking at books. They should be relaxing, drinking some water, just walking around, just refreshment would be a good time for the last few minutes rather than trying to cram or maybe even opening the book at the time, because yeah.
You know,
Sure.
because of that, I'll just start walking in like this to the exam hall, so I don't have to see anybody, because I feel like I did something wrong, you know? Like, I'll just close my eyes and walk in. Like, I don't want to feel anxiety before the exam. I don't want to have a panic attack right
True.
now.
I totally
Yeah, true.
agree. You see everyone vigorously studying in the study hall.
Yeah.
not feel like you haven't.
Yeah, it feels like you have the worst preparation. You're the worst
Mhm.
prepared. The candidate probably. That's how you feel like. Yeah.
Exactly. It's also, when you go like early into a lecture and you see people already typing, and I'm like, what are they typing? Because the class hasn't even started yet. And I'm like, am I missing something? Like, am I too dumb for this? Why am I here? Because I'm not typing anything yet, but people are.
Exactly.
So,
You know what? Like when I was in my first, couple of semesters when I was new to university, I had like panic. I see everybody is typing and typing so much, and I'm just literally not doing anything. And that gave me it just freaked me out sometimes. That okay, is this what I'm supposed to do? What they're doing, or. But then I just realized that it's actually a personal choice. Some people prefer to make quick notes while the lecture is going on. Some people will be like, okay, I will have a general broad idea. Okay, this is the concept I have, so I can have my notes here and I can study. So it really depends from people to people, but it's not really necessary to replicate or imitate somebody just because they're doing something specific. I believe so.
For sure,
that is
I
true.
highly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So, if anyone has any questions regarding anything in this presentation, feel free to ask. If not, reach us through our CSR email, which will be in the next slide. There we go. So reach out to us. Don't hesitate. Just send us an email. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Any questions at all? Anything you would like us to address in any of our presentations? Please let us know. Any tips or anything like that is greatly appreciated. If anyone has any questions right now, feel free to go ahead. And if not, I guess we can part ways. Or if Manur, you have anything else to say?
I have nothing else to say. Just, if you guys have questions, please ask. But either way, thank you for coming to this workshop and for listening to me and Nicole speak for the past hour. I know for me personally, I'd get tired of hearing myself speak for that long. But thank you for coming. And again, feel free to reach us out at this email. And yeah, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And, don't be afraid to ask us any questions, whether you want, also, especially if you do want one-on-one mentoring sessions, then please do reach us out on this email with your name and everything, and we'll get back to you. And yeah, thank you for coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.